A few little things I came across the transom here. I figure need a little dealing with. And yes, I know Andy's live right now. And yeah, she even mentioned me in connection with an idiot that got a hold of her about stuff. So like, still living rent free in that head of hers. Okay. And one day when this is all over with, we're gonna laugh. Okay. Let's start with one here. This is more of an how someone had this chat again on Richards Never Die, or all Richards Always Die, about censoring the words makes the show seem inept, not edgy. Like, this is something actually. Let's just go through it here. See, Star Trek has always had the ability to cater to entire families with a single episode. While always a mature show, was hardly, if ever, for adults only. Star Trek Lower Decks has become just one of the few new shows to test that idea. More and more shows from Trek have focused on more intense action, more gruesome injuries, and more salacious behaviors, which includes, but isn't limited to, more free use of the tongue. The amount of swearing in Star Trek has gone up considerably. Before, you could watch a whole season of Star Trek without worrying about anything more damning than crap. Now that is no longer. All right, little context there. Original series, you had a standards and practice guy right there on the set half the time, okay? They would get constant memos. And that's where you get a lot of what in the blazes or what the devil, I am shocked because actually the end of City on the Edge of Forever, that I think is probably the first time network television you had a non-euphemized word when Kirk said, "Let's get the hell out of here." It wasn't the standard, let's get the blazes out or get the devil. No, let's get the hell out of here. That's the first time I think they said that directly on network television. So that may have been a concession to Harlan. There wasn't even a Harlan's original thing. Harlan's original script had hardly any language at all. The behavior was reprehensible, but yeah, they flirt because you get the Operation Annihilate, the other thing, where McCoy's going, that man is sick, and don't give him any damnable logic about that they would flirt, but that's only the closest they would get. And with the movies, when the first movie, you got damn it Bones, I need you. They started getting a little bit, and then when Next Generation aired, the Red Alert Blacks and Picard said, "Shut off that damn noise." So a lot of it they've been at the mercy of what they were allowed to do. Now it's like, again, it's streaming, but this is something. Well, let me get this. The Discovery Picard leaned heavily into that, and Lower Decks has done its best to follow suit. Different approach, though. Yep, unlike other shows, in Lower Decks, when a character swears, it gets bleeped out. While I'm opposed to such words being used in Star Trek, so that it may contain for all mindset, I can't help but be annoyed at the constant bleeping that goes on whenever a character swears on Lower Decks. The minute they say anything that might run afoul of higher ups, you hear the obnoxious beep that drowns out the word. That is odd, as why are they even using the word if they know it's going to be censored? After 5 seasons, you know which words you can use and which you can't. So why continue to use them and write them in a script only for the censors to add that obnoxious sound effect? If you know the words are going to be bleeped out, don't use them. It's not a hard concept. Moreover, that type of word choice isn't even necessary in entertainment, especially in a cartoon. I feel like they're trying to be edgy with the humor, but in a way the same a 12-year-old is. It comes off as juvenile and lacking in immaturity. Then you add the obnoxious sound effect that just takes you out of the scene, and you have a recipe for annoyance. Lower Decks has its moments, but it has and still remains a show that is more interesting in being Rick and Morty than in its own thing, and that's why its reputation will never expand past the core fandom that I found currently. It's a show that is specifically coded in the 2019-2024 sense of humor, and that isn't a compliment. It's too late for Lower Decks to change that, but hopefully the next show that comes along can be humorous without the need for choice words and awful sound effects around this. Okay, this is something South Park discovered. It was funnier when they bleeped the words. some reason hearing the beep on there makes it funnier. It's funny if they just gone flat out and said it. And they tested that one when the movie came out, Big and Long, and there was no bleeping. With the cartoon and they're bleeping on the TV, and it makes it funnier. It's just one of those things. It's like K words are automatically funnier. It's a rule of comedy. It works that way. And remember, Lower Decks is a comedy, okay? And also, these are not the same frontline troops that you have on the Enterprise or the Titan or some big, with the gray shoulders crowd. Okay, this is a little lower deck. They're a little, the entire California class really is the lower decks of Starfleet. Really, if you expand a bit, these are not frontline. These are second. These are support ships. They don't have to be on top behavior all the time. They tend to get a little more slack time. So they tend to be lower free usage with the verbiage. So, good morning, Iron. So it's like there are reasons why they do, and yeah, it's a streaming show. Yeah, they could left loose uncensored language and label, but no, it's a thing that works with the comedy by bleeping it. Okay. Because actually, there's an occasional thing. I think they let the word asshole fly. There's a few things they don't bleep, maybe by accident, but once in a while, one will go by that. Okay, that one flew okay. Okay, let's look at another one here. And this one, I think it's Chad again. He seems to be hitting them. 2 anime shows detail the right and wrong ways to showcase future captains. And again, at least talking about going between Beckett and Dal over on Prodigy. But even after one's an outright comedy, and the other one is a more serious all ages show. And that is one thing about Prodigy. It's supposedly that's a kid's show. They didn't dumb it down. They stripped back the basics of it, so it is a more entry level type thing, but it's not dumbed down. It is still legitimate, a legitimate Star Trek show in its own right. And the fact that because these kids don't know Starfleet at all, you have to kind of do a little more exposition here and there. But let's see. Anime shows come to Star Trek wrapping up 5th and final season, which will be done before the calendar turns 2025. Other Star Trek Prodigy is future uncertain, but the fandom remains hopeful that the crew comes back for at least one season. Yeah, note to Prodigy. No, not to Netflix, rather. Don't dump it all at once. Okay, is a Prodigy? Is a Netflix? Either way, whoever streaming this thing is like, no, dole it out. Okay, once a week releases. Okay, because I think part of the thing is when they the whole thing's out at once. Like, I haven't gotten around to watching Prodigy season 2. There's 20 episodes in one shot. Really, you want to moderate out a bit. So I also kind of keeps the discussion thing alive. But let's see. Even if they don't get a 3rd season, Prodigy put out 40 episodes. The Lower Decks 50, close enough close enough sample size that we can grade them against one another, especially when it comes down to the leading characters. For Prodigy, you have Beckett Mariner. Whoops. Proofread your shit, Chad. For Lower Decks, you got Beckett Mariner, Lupin, and Unselfish Daughter. We don't. On the other hand, you have Dalrell, like hybrid augment for newfound purpose within Starfleet. After a very good speech from Janeway in front of the Federation Starfleet command order. Both characters depicted as leads in their shows. Both seemingly are being developed by their respective elders to be eventual captains, but only one really looks to be capable of any real leadership. You're not following Lower Decks very well. Mariner, she's definitely got the qualities. She's been avoiding them because of PTSD at the wazoo. Well, she definitely knows when to take charge and stuff, and people listen to her. And she's starting to take herself a lot more seriously now. So I think that because she has fucked up for so long and been down on them repeatedly. Let me throw this up to the side so I can follow the chat. And then going on here. Let's also get that back up here. Okay. Yeah, it may be unfair to compare the characters. Marin is the lead character in a comedy, and Dal is a character in a more serious all-ages show. Yep, Lower Decks has 3 characters who could be great captains: Sam Rutherford, Devon Attendy, and T'Lyn. We already saw Brad Boimler take on a leadership role, though that Boimler was a duplicate. Still, it shows that the original version has the capabilities to become a bigger. Yeah, Boims needs the season a bit more. So, needs a little more. Let me get this here so everyone can follow along. Here we go. All right. All right, through 5, more and more we see of Mariner, the more and more we see she's just not cut out for a leadership role. Well, that's by design, by Mariner's part. She doesn't want the job because of what happened to Sito. But she's starting to realize, okay, this was probably not a good move. Okay, this is not the best track of me. I'm trying to take it seriously. And she is turning things around. And I think actually that would make her a better captain. She knows what it's like, now. And she knows that now. She knows how to suck it up and actually, okay, this time to take it seriously here. Because they also made a count when another former Academy friend. We all thought you'd be a captain by now. What are you doing as an ensign? And showing what better reflects how impressive the men and women of Star Trek are when they become captains, what it means to hold that rank and what it requires to get that level. It's something we see in Dal. He's focused, open to criticism. He seeks. Did you watch the early parts of Prodigy? This kid was the last person I want to see in the center seat, okay? He was reckless. He was bossy. And he had to learn the hard way, getting his ass kicked a few times. It's like both like to be captains in Star Trek canon, but it's important to note that Mariner never did enough to make anyone think she could be. Again, have you really watched the show? It's unclear how Lower Decks ends, but it will end with but if it ends in a time which you're prepared to being a captain, it'll feel unearned. Well, again, we don't know what's going to happen next week, or probably this week, one coming up, final one, and also because we got another case of let's say mission coitus interruptus here. There's unfinished business here. They weren't ready to wrap up, and it's only a total of 50 episodes. We ain't done yet, and no one's done on this yet. And McMahon is determined. We'll find some way to continue the story here. If it's comic books, cave drawings, whatever, we're going to keep this going somehow. And there might be a gap there. I think comics are the obvious one first off, which I'll have to start get back in the comics again. But there's bouncing around, a live action movie has been speculated about, or just when Kurtzman has finally wrestled off this, contract and Star Trek can finally move ahead freely without his meddling, and we can scrape off the barnacles of the Kurtzman Trek. And it's really not accurate to call it Lower Decks anymore. They're all lieutenants. They've got their own, they got roommates now, but they're no longer, bunking in the corridor. So they're a little higher up now. So I think retitle it Star Trek Cerritos, so you can kind of get a technical thing of it's a new show, and you can proceed forward. Because the thing is, Paramount does not want to end Lower Decks. Obviously, Mike McMahon and his bunch don't want to end Lower Decks. The fans, the numbers are solid. There's no justification for it. Only that Kurtzman's throwing a hissy fit that their stuff's more popular than his is. A lot of hardcore old-time fans have attached themselves to Lower. Yes, this is what we like. We like this one. More of this. And same thing with Prodigy. The hardcore fan base likes Prodigy. They like Lower Decks because it's real Star Trek. These guys know what they're doing. Academy, pfft. Discovery is a dumpster fire from the first 5 minutes. Strange New Worlds, It's only because they're following the proper formula, but otherwise it's like, get this thing on it. Yeah, let's get that cat thing on it. Yeah, maybe Lower Decks will end with Mariner resigning from Starfleet to live a life unburdened by responsibility. Maybe she'll stay on, especially. Yeah, wishful thinking. Okay. No, Mariner will eventually. I think she will finally get her act together. I mean, also figure she's been on 5 or 6 different ships, promoted and demoted who knows how many times. It's like she's been around. Okay, in fact, some people managed to do a little retroactive thinking. There was the episode when I think it's when the bow breaks, Next Gen, and they show a bunch of the kids, and there's this black girl with the big. We can kind of retroactively fit. That could be Mariner. That could be our little Beckett right there, because it's also figured that her mom. There's heavy indication that she was a crewman on the Enterprise D, and that's also why Mariner knows so much about the Mariner Enterprise D, because she used to live there. She was. Carol Freeman, again, they know Riker, the family friend. Yeah. And apparently, he did the old thing of calling and Carol is Chadish, and that's it's also where do you think half the contraband came from on the ship? But yeah, it's a retroactive thing because they had no idea back in the day when they're making this thing. It works. Mm-hmm. But no, I think there's a lot more to Beckett Mariner than we've seen Enya. And again, her character arc is a lot more substantial than what we've seen so far. Okay. Again, let's move this over here so I can follow the chat, if anything. All right. And Chad's on a roll here. Why does Star Trek keep calling back to bad episodes of the franchise? Recently, Star Trek Lower Decks brought the fandom back to the 60s with a callback to one of the worst episodes of originally. Who mourns? Well, it's Adonais, not Adonis. Okay, that's also a comedy. Pay attention. I mean, either one works in the concept-wise, but it's who mourns for Adonais. There's an A in there. Apparently, you missed the opening titles now, where you got big green hand grabbing the top of the board cube, but tongue-in-cheek connection. There wasn't much to the guy, the character of that episode, and the initial connection. It was cute, and a lot of people liked that. Yet we're left wondering, why did Lower Decks pick that? All right. One thing that one of the things they like to do on this show is to do callbacks to some of the goofier aspects of Star Trek. They're kind of like, let's be real here. Okay, this isn't Rendezvous with Rama. Okay, this is not Foundation Trilogy. It's Star Trek. Okay, it's a little weird, but I have never heard anyone until now label Who Mourns for Adonais as one of the worst episodes. No, it's a little middling, but there's some good stuff in there. And this is, I think Chad is in the issue of taking things a bit too seriously. Okay, it's like, lighten up. Okay. You can embrace the silliness with some episodes through the lenses of already silly Lower Decks. Considering there aren't many shows like Lower Decks, you don't have the opportunity to tie into a bad episode often without the fear of having the newer episode rejected outright. Because Lower Decks thrives on the absurd. Any bad piece of Star Trek writing becomes unusable as a callback for Lower Decks. That's the beauty of the show. It allows you. So. Let's see. It doesn't make enough. Yeah, he kind of answers his own question to the process thing. It's like, but one, you go again. That I've never seen that listed as one of the worst episodes. I mean, one thing because always kind of Lieutenant Palamas has always been rather also guaranteeing that. That's probably one of the best roles Leslie Parrish had on TV, on 60s TV at the time. Usually she was playing somebody's girlfriend or bubblehead. She was on The Lieutenant. She played kind of an airheaded actress who was trying to do a movie that on the base. She did on Wild Wild West. She was Dr. Loveless's girlfriend, and she did, I think she did an episode of Mission Impossible in that same gown, by the way. They borrowed things a lot on that show, but because they're literally right next door. Okay, and it's like, hey, we need something. When we use that costume over in Star Trek, okay, yeah, someone go across, ask Bill Theiss for that thing, But she's always playing somebody's girlfriend, and on Star Trek, she's playing a scientist. And probably some of the best dialogue of her career in that episode. But, when you start off, one of the worst episodes, by whose reckoning, Chad? Okay. Okay, and this one, I haven't even really looked at yet. By the fact that it hasn't even loaded. Let's try that here. All right, let's see what Chad has for us on this one. Not using Spock in more Star Trek Next Generation deprives a great pairing. I don't count it as two. It was a two-parter, and he showed up in the last 10 seconds of part one. So I'm not going to count that as two appearances. But Star Trek comics have really opened up the floodgates of what could have been possible. The franchise had the same financial backing in the 1990s that it does now. In the ongoing series, Star Trek Defiant, we've been treated to the return of Benjamin Sisko. More adventures featuring that of Spock and an epic team-up involving iconic characters never thought possible. It's also given us a unique pairing with Spock and Worf. Spending some time together, it's something that Screen Rant had already covered and covered well. But number 21, I mistake is one paying attention to the comics. Worf wasn't used great on Next Generation. He was often comedic relief for the heavy enough fight. It wasn't until DS9 that a more concise and consistently. Well, part of that was, when writers get a new character, it's like the new toy they get to play with. And they also said DS9 was really kind of the island of misfit toys. These are guys that didn't quite fit in elsewhere. Not unlike the Cerritos. It's like you carry a little further, And because these are next gen writers too. They know, Worf was never really used right. Maybe his starship wasn't the best setting for him. The Spock only appeared in 2 episodes. Again, like I said, it's like the last 5 seconds of reunification part 1. And actually, they filmed that one at last. They filmed the first one for That's why production orders sometimes with the later shows they had more control over what aired when. So that one you go by air date for the most part. Otherwise, you got a very weird thing. He's never really challenged or was challenged by Worf as far as Battle of Wits and philosophy. The missed opportunity has been locked. You wanted Spock and Worf to get together on something? Really? That's what you're complaining about? Well, I'm pretty sure that wouldn't have worked well with those writers at that time. Worf and Spock could have made great veterans, especially at the time for those characters. Worf was not the same character during Next Gen as he was later on with DS9. So no, you would not have had some philosophical debates. You have Worf complaining about the added security because you got a major Federation ambassador on board. I mean, you might have a debate about various aspects of mutual history between the Klingons and the Vulcans. That's not good. No, that's not a good take, Chad. No. Now, Worf, as we saw him in Picard season 3, and Spock, that would have been interesting because that Worf is a much more thoughtful, philosophical type. A somewhat more pacifistic, like more Zen, really. I think it's better. Because he's also he's quite capable of decapitating somebody with one swipe of the bat. But no, that was not a good take, Chad. Anyway. Oh. But it's like, that's one of the things about, the comics that can do anything. I remember, when DC had the license, they had a Harry Mudd, issue. And this is a few years after Roger C. Carmel had died. So yeah, you can do anything. Yep. But that's the ones that, because you didn't have Spock and Worf in the same scene, really? No. And the reason why they filmed part 2 first instead of as opposed to part, because of Nimoy's schedule. He was busy man at the time, okay? And that episode was a promotional thing for Star Trek 6, okay? Which really didn't sit well with Roddenberry. They're just promoting the damn movie, which he was kind of about. But anyway, we got a small crowd here, so if anybody has any questions before I go and declare it a done deal here. Because actually, I got a grocery shipment coming before too long. But wondering that I'm going to have to break off at some point. Hopefully, this thing is finally starting to unhitch a bit, so I'll be able to get a Fortnite stream in. I didn't even try last night, I don't think. Well, so far, Iron's the only one who said anything. So that's today's little Star Trek bits. Let's see if anything's come out in the meantime. They do get these things periodically throughout the thing. Nothing really. I do have a note about Oxford United cutting Des Buckingham loose. It's like, well, it is, like you lost 3 straight rather badly, okay? And it's like a lot of it, they've been not afraid to ditch a coach that's otherwise done pretty well by them, but it's like you get to certain points, okay, we need somebody else to get to the next level here. And actually, the surprise frontrunner right now to get the job is John Terry, who is from Chelsea and with the England team. Like, let's transfer over to football talk for a bit. Sorry, I got Australian there. Yeah. Let's see. This is from the Oxford Mail. Let's see. Chelsea legend John Terry high with bookies for Oxford United job. We're talking English. We need to talk English. Speak English. Former Chelsea and England defender John Terry has made a surprise entrance in the top 5 candidates among bookmakers to replace Des Buckingham at Oxford United. Buckingham was controversially sacked by the U's in the aftermath of the 3-1 defeat at home against Sheffield Wednesday. The loss extended a troubling run of form for United, who have got just one win in the last 15 Sky Bet Championship games, thanks to a strong... Thing jumped on me. Thanks to a strong start, is still above the relegation. Yeah, they start up pretty well. Oxford Mail understands that an appointment to replace Buckingham will be made in time for the trip to Leeds. Yeah, they're going to make this fast. Yeah. Let's take a quick look. Where is Oxford United? Yeah. Who's this guy? Okay, that's the chairman, Grant Ferguson. That was Craig Ferguson. Let's just get straight to the table here. Now, again, I'm seeing a lot of names here that last time I paid really close attention. These were all Premier League teams. So it's like, and they're not far above the relegation zone. So, yeah, it's not quite panic time, but close enough. Okay, and they got their butts kicked by Queen's Park Rangers. Sheffield's up there. They're like, yeah, they've not done well lately. Okay. Now the next game coming up is against Plymouth, which could be good, could be bad. Could mean the easy mark could be these guys are Plymouth's desperate enough to beat the living stock out of them. So. But yeah, many of these teams, these were Premier League not very long ago. Norwich, Swansea, Sheffield, West Brom Albion, Watford, Middlesbrough, Sunderland, Burton, Leeds, Sheffield. Yeah, actually, Leeds has been out of the thing for a while, but they're coming back. So yeah, it's a new world here when they get up to this level. There's one. Right now, I think promotion is probably out of the question at this point. There's not enough. Well, unless they really go on a tear. Like if Busby comes back from the dead and manage him, it's like they could go on a weird. And we got a. Should try and do it properly. I got a thing for Yorkshire pudding. I should try and put that together. But yeah, it's just email there. So. I just want to see Oxford United get back in the Premier League before I die. Okay. But yeah, I think that will probably do it for now. Now we're actually moving into sports talk at this point. So, yeah. All right. Okay, so like, share, subscribe. Links below for support. PayPal's the best because it goes straight to us. But nobody else gets a cut. And we will talk at you later.